have a substantial benefit. So the goy cannot, we know they can't turn on the light for you and all that, but the whole idea of them being able to, with remes of course, turn off the light, turn off the alarm, you know.
With permissible remes.
Permissible remes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How is that not a substantial benefit? How is that not hana? If somebody can't sleep because the lights are on, now they have benefit if the lights can go.
Right, but the difference is that the light going off doesn't create the darkness. A light going on creates the light. Darkness is a result of the lack of light, but it's not a creation of the.
So it's about the creation, or it's about the.
It's about direct benefit versus indirect benefit. When a goy does something that directly benefits the Jew, so even though he is also going to get a benefit, presumably, because he thinks the Jew's going to give him a present someday or whatever. So, but the Jew's get a direct benefit. He's getting a benefit who knows when, so it's considered to be that he's doing it for the Jew. But if the Jew does not get a direct benefit, and he's also going to get an indirect benefit later, I mean, the guy's going to give him a present eventually for all his efforts. So the goy is considered to be doing it for himself, for his indirect benefit. If it's both indirect, his primary thought is for himself. If one is direct and one is indirect, then we consider the primary one for the direct. That's what it is.
So it's all about further removing the benefit.
Yeah.
It sounds like. And that's when you get into shvus to shvus also.
Well, shvus to shvus is allowed even if it's a direct benefit, if it's a derabanan.
Right.
Derabanan for a mitzvah, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That's an exception. You know what I'm saying? Once you have the exception, then the fact that it's direct benefit doesn't make a difference.
Amen.
All right, Rabbi Isai, glad to have you here. Let us begin. Muktzah review sheet. I'm just going to follow what I didn't cover yet yesterday. I'm going to go to number 4. In a case of possible harm to the public, we said that one is allowed to move muktzah. The examples of that were?
In the brakes.
Brakes, glass, any sharp object. Any sharp object that could be dangerous for people, even if it's not life-threatening. Life-threatening, of course, you could do whatever. But even if it's just harmful, you're allowed to move it. Okay.
How's that different than like a pikuach nefesh situation? Pikuach nefesh means that it's more than likely that.
Pikuach nefesh is that it's life-threatening. Here, it's not life-threatening. It's harmful.
Possibly it is.
No, glass.
A sharp. You said a sharp object.
Yeah, but I mean, a glass is sharp, but a person's not going to die from slipping and slipping on glass.
Unless if you have kids
or something like that.
Babies around the walking, crawling on the floor.
Anybody. It doesn't have to be babies. Babies for sure. But even non-babies can be injured by glass. Okay. So, another point, and this has to do with who decides when something is muktzah or not. So, for example, we said, if the owner takes an item which is broken and they throw it out, even though it's an item that could be used, it's broken, but you could still use it. If the owner throws it out, that makes it muktzah.
Regardless of the value to a poor person.
Exactly. Now, if it's a non-broken thing and he throws it out, that's tam mishagas. That doesn't make a difference. It's not going to be muktzah because he threw it out. And if it's something that is useless, then his throwing out doesn't make a difference. Talking about something that is broken, but it could be used, just not perfectly. So then the owner is the one who establishes what it is. Exactly. Okay, now we
throw it out. I assume he has to throw it out.
If he threw it out before Shabbos, actually.
Not before Shabbos.
Yeah, if he threw it out before Shabbos. If he threw it out on Shabbos, he could change his mind. The whole thing is that Muktzah status is decided by Bein Hashmashos when Shabbos comes in. So if he threw it out before Shabbos, it stays Muktzah all Shabbos. He can't change it. If he threw it out on Shabbos, so then nobody else can come and use it because he decided that it's garbage, and it's still garbage as long as he doesn't change his mind. If he changes his mind on Shabbos and he says, you know what, nah, it's not so bad, I'm going to use it again, and he takes it out of the garbage on Shabbos, not Muktzah anymore, because it wasn't Muktzah before Shabbos, and he is now deciding that he's not throwing it out, so it's not Muktzah for anybody.
How would someone know what his intent was if you see it in the garbage?
Yeah, I mean, someone else, the person himself knows on his intent,
right.
But if somebody else sees it, yeah.
What if somebody is a guest in the house and he sees that I'm throwing that out. Well, I'll take it. Sorry, designated Muktzah. Can the owner at that point redesignate it inside of Shabbos to give it to this guy? I don't see why not.
I don't see why not.
Saying.
I don't see why not.
Right.
If he threw it out on Shabbos.
If he threw it out on Shabbos, right.
Yeah. I don't see why not, yeah.
Before he throw it, he's in. That's it.
What if he threw it out before Shabbos? I guess the question is, can he redesignate once he designated before Shabbos?
No.
He can't.
If he threw it out before
Shabbos, he can tell the guy, come back after Shabbos.
Come back after Shabbos. If the garbage collector didn't come yet.
Right.
The owner can take it and give it to the other?
If he threw it out before Shabbos, he cannot.
Because then he designates.
Because it's Muktzah the whole Shabbos. You can't change your mind.
Only if Shabbos he can throw it.
If he threw it out on Shabbos, so then it's not designated before Shabbos, he can change his mind.
But it's still considered Muktzah.
Until he changes his mind, it's Muktzah. Once he changes his mind, it's not. Okay, so similar to this, we spoke about rags. Rags are things that are yeah, exactly, worn out clothes, which the rich people don't even save, but the poor people do. So if these rags belong to the rich, they're muktzah for everybody, because that's like something he threw out. If they belong to the poor, so then he says, this is interesting that it depends for whom. It's muktzah for the poor, for the rich, but it's not muktzah for the poor and for anybody staying in their house, even if that person is rich. A rich person who's a guest in the house of the poor person can happen. So he is goes by the house rules. The house rules is that this is not muktzah, so it's not muktzah. But
is that a general rule though? That because I thought that the designator designates it as muktzah, but is this an exception or is this a rich people? It stands poor people. It may change.
Yeah, I was wondering about that when I was writing up this review. I was wondering why is it that when it comes to something you throw out, you consider it muktzah if he throws it out, not muktzah if he doesn't. We don't differentiate between different people. We don't say.
Well, that's what I thought the rule was.
Exactly. We say it goes by the owner.
Is this a poor person exception?
Yeah. So here we're saying it depends on the owner, but it also depends on who you are. And besides the owner, it could be not muktzah for him and muktzah for you.
It also depends.
So I don't know exactly how to resolve.
So is it an exception that you'd say to that general rule, or is it its own?
I'm not sure how to resolve it. Not sure how to resolve
Also
it.
dependent on the time before Shabbat, after Shabbat.
Well, but that's the designation aspect.
Does it depend on the time?
That's designation.
I mean, if it ripped, if it ripped on Shabbos, rags are. This is the halacha. You're saying if you had a garment that before Shabbos was not a rag, and then it ripped on Shabbos, so yeah, I think you could change your mind on Shabbos, even if you're a rich man. But if you decide you like this rag and it only became a rag on Shabbos, I don't see why not. You could decide to change it. Okay. Let's talk about moving through a goy. It's very quiet in
moving,
my computer land.
moving
I'm here. Don't
You're
worry.
there. Excellent.
What's the question?
Moving through a goy, having a goy move muktzah for you,
Okay.
allowed or not allowed?
If yes, if it's something 1 point, if it's what's the other words for it?
It's okay because if he's moving it for me, you said.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a shvus to shvus, isn't
Not
it?
expensive.
It is a shvus to shvus, but what if it's not a great loss or great need or mitzvah or somewhat of an illness?
Example.
For Mekomo,
I don't know. I just want him to move something.
it's a one.
If you're asking the, well.
It's in the way. There's no great
so
loss.
Darabanan.
There's no great loss. I mean, shvus to shvus is an easy answer. You're right. But let's say it does not fall into the category of shvus to shvus.
I think I got it. If
Oh well, in that case, probably
you don't
not.
need the place just for fun, no. I mean, if you know, no, I mean, if you
I didn't say if you don't need the what, the place.
I mean, you have a guest, okay, and you have extra room, and you want just to remove one object from there, then maybe it's not. No, I remember one thing for a reason he cannot do it.
Otherwise, to protect it, no?
Exactly. Exactly. The answer is simple, my friends. The answer is simple. You can move muktzah through a goy for any purpose other than to protect the muktzah
That's
itself.
why
The reason for that is a little bit complicated, but the Alter Rebbe explains that the whole basis for being allowed to move muktzah through a goy is Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam holds in general that anything that a goy could do in a permissible way, you're allowed to ask him to do, and he decides if he wants to do it in a permissible, forbidden way. And that's relevant for washing dishes. That's relevant for asking a goy to, I don't know, you name it, maybe even wash a floor, because he could do it with water, without mop or whatever. So but Rabbeinu Tam also holds. Sorry. So what's the thing? The goy could have moved it kalachayat. He can move muktzah kalachayat. He chooses to move it not kalachayat. That's his choice. However, Rabbeinu Tam also holds that you cannot move muktzah kalachayat for the muktzah itself, to protect the muktzah itself. You can move muktzah kalachayat for any purpose according to Rabbeinu Tam, other than to protect the muktzah itself. Now, other Rishonim disagree with Rabbeinu Tam. The Rosh, the Ran, they hold you can move muktzah kalachayat for any purpose whatsoever. However, if you want to rely on Rabbeinu Tam to be able to move it through the goy, well, then you can only follow Rabbeinu Tam as much as Rabbeinu Tam allows you to. Rabbeinu Tam himself does not allow you to move it for the purpose of the muktzah itself, because he does not let you do that kalachayat, so you can't have the goy do it in any way, whether kalachayat or not. So that's the good word.
Yeah, but since you have more Rishonim, it seems like, who say you can do it. So then why would we go according to Rabbeinu Tam?
Because you have to listen to the whole point here. The whole point is Rabbeinu Tam is the one that allows you to follow this concept of saying, well, the goy could do it in one way, so you could ask him to do it in whatever way. So he is the one, he is the source for this leniency. So you
okay.
be more lenient than he himself is in this situation. You understand?
Yes.
Generally, we have different arguments and different things that we don't have to pass on like Rabbeinu Tam in one area, just because we pass on like him in another area. There's a lot of things that we pass on like different Rishonim based on whatever reasons the poets can have. But over here, it's in this very thing that you want to rely on Rabbeinu Tam. You want to say, well, the Rabbeinu Tam says you could because you could have asked him to do it kalachayad. Well, he himself doesn't allow you to ask him to do kalachayad for the muktzah itself. See what I'm saying? It's a general principle in halacha. It's an important principle.
Okay.
So there's no issue with Amira.
That's correct. No issue with Amir. You can ask him to do it directly. You don't have to hint. It's fine.
And there's a second question. you have a pair feeling that's outside. What's the story with feeling? In that case, and it's gonna start raining.
No. What do you say? Give me some ideas here.
Absolutely.
Well, tefillin is considered what? What kind of muktzah is it? Exactly.
I remember.
Low level muktzah. It's basically mutter to move for any reason other than for the muktzah itself. So, but now that's going to get damaged. So what's the halacha?
So it's a mukmas chisron kis.
No, tefillin is not
Tefillin?
muktzah. Tefillin is klishim la'afelezer.
Oh, okay.
We studied that, Rabbi. Anything with the Torah, you're allowed to move.
I don't know if we said those words, but you happen to be right.
But that's what we studied, I remember.
You are allowed to move it to protect it from being ruined. Because it's tefillin, it's a holy object. You're allowed to.
They're hustle, then it's real muktzah.
It's not so much about the fact that you're having a good pair of tefillin being ruined, quotation marks. It's more about the bizoyim of Sifrei Kodesh, the disgrace.
But how about hustle? Because then there's no use.
I don't think it makes a difference.
You're not gonna use it on Shabbos anyway.
I don't think it makes a difference if you're going to use it or not. It's not about the fact that you're losing out on the usage of it. It's that it's a disgrace to a holy object that it should
Where do you
be
draw the
rained
line
on.
between what defines a holy object then?
What do you mean? If it goes into Geniza, it's a holy object.
Sorry?
Svarim, yeah. I mean, Svarim are not Muktzah, but I'm saying that, yeah. Yeah.
What is it today?
It's leftovers of a mitzvah.
Oh, which one?
Which mitzvah? It started off as Shalach Manas, then it became dessert for Shabbos, as well as my son's birthday cake. It's like 3 times repurposed.
It's the, let's get this out of the house.
Exactly.
Something-
Exactly.
Sorry.
You got it.
Or it's-
You'll need some of these.
Definitely.
So the mitzvah of Pesach preparation, you can put in as a fourth.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Okay, so talking about doors of Kalim that came off.
Door came
Doors of Kalim that came off. Anybody?
The door is for belong to the house.
The door of a
Well,
kalim.
it's from a kalim that was not attached to the ground. I'd say it's okay, but if it's the door of a house would be musar because it's anything attached to the ground is well, I forgot what the term was.
A door of a keli is considered to be muchan agav avihan. That means that because it's going to go back into the keli, even if you're not going to put it out back on Shabbos. Muktzah, delet. Even if you're not going to be putting it back on Shabbos itself, because there's details about that. You may not be allowed to put it back on in case you make it tight and whatever. We learn about that. At the same time, but because it's going to go back into the keli, it's considered muchan agav avihan. It's considered still non-muktzah because it's considered part of its father, so to say. Exactly. So that's where the discussion about the buttons come in. Some say that a button is also not muktzah if you're planning to put it back. Some say that it has to be like a door which has some use even before you put it back. You can put it down, use it like a little tray, and so on, whereas the button has no use. So that's a machlokes. Speaking of noilad, I mean, we didn't speak about it now, but just going back to noilad that we spoke about yesterday, I do want to mention, came across today, about milk being noilad. We said yesterday that there are things that are noilad gomer, things that are noilad gomer on that are muktzah on Shabbos. versus things that are a little bit noila that are not muktzah on Shabbos, only on Yom Tov. So I mentioned yesterday about milk. So here's the thing. An animal on Shabbos is not considered food. A live animal, not food. It's a live animal. So the way the milk is in that animal when Shabbos comes in is that if there's an udder full of milk, that's already milk. But if the milk is produced on Shabbos, because animals produce milk. So when Shabbos came in, it was blood. It was the blood of the animal. And when you milk it, not you can't milk it, but a goy milks it. Even if the goy milks it in a permissible way, I think we discussed it yesterday, but I just came across it today, so I'm clarifying.
Where's the blood coming from?
The animal has blood, and the blood becomes milk. That's how it happens. The blood, when a woman makes milk, it's the blood in her breast. There's special ways, one of the Chaste Hashem, a miracle, it becomes milk. That's what happens. Blood becomes milk. The same thing with the cow. So this milk is noiled, even though the guy is allowed to milk it. I don't know if I think we did discuss it, that you're allowed to have a goy milk it as a kablan, right? You tell him, the milk.
But that's because the cow needs to be milked.
The cow needs to milk. It's tzar b'lechaim. Normally, you can't have a kablan do work for you on your premises, and you certainly can't tell him to do it on Shabbos. But here, it's on your premises, and you're telling him on Shabbos. You're saying, if you milk the cow on Shabbos, I'll pay you X amount for everything, or I'll buy it back from you. You know what I'm saying?
Or you will not you will not lose from that.
Yeah, well, yeah. But because of tzar b'lechaim, they allowed you to do it. However, that milk is muktzah on Shabbos because it's noiled gomer. Because when Shabbos came in, it was blood. It was not food. It was the blood of an animal. Now it's milk. That's noiled gomer. I'm sorry? After Shabbos, you buy it back? No. Because, if he did it in a permissible way, like you didn't tell him to milk it for you, you told him to milk it for yourself, and you buy it back. You have a fixed price with him. Whenever he milks, he gets a certain price. So that's actually mutter. Based on tzar b'lechaim, that's actually mutter. So there's no need to wait b'chdei sheyasa because you didn't do anything wrong. Into him.
The cow is in pain. The cow's in pain.
Yeah, that's good. That's good too. Only thing you shouldn't do is tell him,
milk the cow.
Milk the cow. Can you milk the cow, please?
Just say the cow needs to.
That you cannot do. That you cannot do because it's a melacha d'oraisa. It's not really a shvus to shvus. I don't think we allow melacha d'oraisa even for tzar b'lechaim. But once it's a kablanus, so it's just naras ayin and so on. So then we're more megal with this situation. Okay. Changing status of a non-keli. Number 9.
Like the napkin with a rock. They change the rock to the.
If you want to change the rock, exactly. If you want to change a rock from being a rock to being a door stopper, or a paperweight, or whatever you have, what have you. So here are the rules. If it's something that is usually used for that sort of thing, then it's enough to use it once for that use before Shabbos, or even just decide that you're going to use it for that use, even just on Shabbos. You didn't designate it forever. You're just going to use it for that use on Shabbos. But because it's a usual use, it is allowed. Baruch Hashem. What? I did not have a Ma'ariv.
I know, he did not. He did not.
The text was on.
He did not. No. You did not?
Citizens
Good.
group,
You
citizens group,
you did not?
No, I didn't.
Good. That's it. You already. What about you? Good. You have already 6. What about you?
You davened already? You davened already?
You have 6. You need more people.
מה איתך? You davened?
אני התפללתי.
Okay. No problem. I would have, except that I couldn't. I had a schedule.
But we have 6
Scheduling
years
issue.
no pray. So we need 2 more, Hanan, and another one. Doesn't matter if pray or not.
Where's Moshe? Moshe Becerra? I don't see him online either.
Is there everyone online?
I'm sorry?
Or was met everyone online?
No, actually, there's one I have not. Daniel Ram I have not met, but I'm going to California. Pesach, hopefully we'll meet up.
Absolutely.
Very good. You know my father's shul? You know what my father's shul is?
What, Ahafas Torah? That's up on La
Ahafas
Brea,
Torah.
right?
How was Yisrael?
Yeah, well, I've been there a long time ago.
Okay, very good. Maybe we can meet up on Cholamayit or something.
Okay.
We'll be in touch.
Fairfax.
Okay.
Yeah, Fairfax. Yeah. Near Pink's. You ever heard of Pink's?
I was in California.
Just down the street from there.
I was in California.
Pink's the famous hot dog stand. I don't know why it's so famous, but it's famous. Not kosher. Not kosher.
More than 20 years ago, I was living in German also. I was visiting Fairfax a couple of times.
And they're open all hours. You pass by 3 in the morning, there's a line. It's in Michigan. Certified trafe, my friends.
Certified. All hours.
Yeah.
7 days.
Okay, here goes. So when it comes to something that is not usually used,
You can probably get a better hot dog at Jeff's Gourmet.
oh, I don't know about Just Gourmet.
Oh, you should try it. Pico.
Yeah, okay. We're not going to have much time, but thank you. So when it comes to something that is not usually used in that way, it's not usually designated for that way. I mean, sometimes, yeah, but not like a regular thing. So then the only way to make it non-Muktzah is to designate it forever for that use. So that means if you want to make a stone into a paperweight, it's not enough to use it once. It's not enough to decide before Shabbos that you want to use it. You actually have to use it, decide you're going to use it forever. Actually, there's one other way, which I don't know if we discussed this when we learned it, but if you do an action on the thing itself to prepare it for that use, then it's enough. You don't have to designate it forever. If you sand the stone down, if you decorate it, so if you do something, if you do an action on the thing itself, even if it's not the regular use, and even if it's not forever, that's enough.
If you make it into, if you designate it as a paperweight, can you use it as a doorstop?
Yeah, once it's a paperweight, you can use it for anything. Just like any non-Muktzah item. Yeah, any non-Muktzah item, you could use it any way you want. So again, there's designated forever, that always works. There's doing an action on the thing itself, changing it, that always works. And then there's other things that only works if it's the usual way to use it. That is using it once, or just deciding that you're going to use it even just for one shot. So there's 4 things. 2 are good for all things, and 2 only good if it's something that is usually done that way.
That doesn't apply, right? It could be an issue of my sign. Somebody says you.
I was just thinking that, but I was saying, oh, it goes over there.
Right. Yeah.
If you paint the rock in yellow,
with flowers. Take care of it.
You play frisbee with a $900 iPad. It also looks a little bad.
Yeah. I hear. It could be that because these things are actually used, talking about a thing that is used that way on a regular basis, so we're not concerned with Marasai. In other words, if you're actually using it all the time as a paperweight, so I'll see you using it as a paperweight, that's the most likely thing. Like 95% of the time, you're going to use it as that. You know what I'm saying? So he'll realize that that's what you use. You know what I'm saying? So something like that.
You have to inform people, like Beit Nakim. People don't know, and they think, everyone's just whispering.
Yeah. Even if there is no Marasai, there's still a concept of Yis Nakim. If you realize that people are actually suspecting you. So
Should you volunteer information?
yeah, if you realize that, for sure. Went to a shiur, I learned, and this is what it is, and maybe you'd like to learn this interesting halacha. Okay, using a needle to remove a splinter.
Yes, it was.
That's it, simple.
Not simple, but be careful.
If it's a non-broken needle, it's allowed. What about the fact that you may bleed?
It's because of the splinter is hurt you, and for Shabbat, So
Bleeding is simple.
not simple. It's something behind that. That's why.
What's behind it?
Anybody can.
You have to be careful not to bleed.
Yes.
And if you bleed, it's not your intention. And it's not obsecration. It has to not be obsecration. If you realize that the only way to get this needle out is to cause yourself to bleed, you're not allowed to take it out. But if it's something that maybe will bleed, maybe not, then you're allowed to. However, the needle has to be either complete or not yet pierced. We don't really have such
It's
needles.
not pain. It's okay.
But in the olden days, not yet pierced. In the olden days, you bought a needle and then you made a hole in it after. If it doesn't have a hole in it yet, you might decide to keep it for needles, for splinter removal. It's not Muktzah, but if it's broken, then you can.
The one for the soil is good.
Yeah, that's a keli. Yes, it's a kli shemalach leiser. You're allowed to use a kli shemalach leiser l'tzor gufay.
Why
Okay,
is
let's
broken needle usher again? I forgot
because it's not a keli. It's the same
Oh,
as
it's not a keli.
It's not a keli. It has no status. It's the same as a stick or a stone. Because people don't generally save broken needles. It says that if it's a needle without a hole, because you didn't make a hole in it yet, so maybe you might keep it to use it for splinters. That people sometimes might do. But a needle that is broken, nobody saves broken needles for splinters.
If this is the only one I have, and I keep that for a splinter.
Oh, if you decided before Shabbos,
Okay.
like
So I
you're
made
keeping
it
it for
to Kavanah,
splinter,
it's good.
you could do it just like we said. You could make a stone on Muktzah.
Uh-huh.
But the presumption is, if you didn't designate it before Shabbos, the presumption is that a broken needle is garbage and is therefore Muktzah. Okay, graf shel re'i, Rabbi said. Talk to me about a graf shel re'i.
What? I'm sorry.
Graf shel re'i.
What about the fly swatter?
Oh, I forgot about the fly swatter. Sorry. I don't know what happened to, I was supposed to have a whole list of different kalim here, but the fly swatter is the only one that made it in.
Luxury.
Maybe you'll mention them to us now.
No, I was going to
What
do it
you
as I
want
was
to do with the
preparing. But
To remove the.
no, before that. Fly swatter is not considered Muktzah.
Second.
At least in those days, because they didn't only use it to kill flies, they also used it to just wave them away. So it was considered kli shemalach heter.
The one that killed the fly.
Flies, yeah.
It's okay with that.
You can't kill a fly, but you can use it to wave the fly away, to
Okay.
scare him away.
Remember I showed you all the back scratches and all that?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. That was Uden B'Chol, I think. It was like Uden B'Chol. Uden B'Chol. It probably has to do with the fact that a deep tissue massage is also Uden B'Chol. So this is like a keli that's used for a deep tissue massage.
Back scratcher is a deep tissue massage.
It's related to.
Shabbat, you
I'm
don't
saying
like-
why? What's the connection between Uden B'Chol and a back scratcher? It's a funny thing. I'm just thinking because the activity of massaging is related to that itself is also hard to understand. I guess it's not so. It's like it's painful, even though it's pleasurable. It's also painful at the same time. So it's not
Back
such a
scratcher?
no deep tissue massage.
Right, I'm saying why back scratcher?
Did we come up with anything? We were looking at it. Did anybody say anything?
Showed it to the Rav in Mishnah Berurah. It was a picture I think I sent.
Yeah, I remember that. I just don't remember if we had any.
I don't have to get to it.
It's definitely interesting. Something to think about. Okay. A graph shel re'i is what?
What's the graph?
Graph shel re'i.
Less in discussion.
The chamber pot.
Chamber pot, exactly. Graph shel re'i is b'shvil re'i, kilu, kli, מקבל re'i.
You want to take the mirror, look at yourself?
No, re'i, עם עין. עם עין.
כלי שעושים גדולים קטנים.
כן.
Okay.
כן.
שמסתובבים וזה-
So בעצם, a graph shel re'i should be Muktzah gomer. However, if it's full, you're allowed to take it out. Why?
Because of the food.
It's a graph shel re'i.
Because the graph shel re'i, the Chachamim were lenient, so that you should not have a difficult Shabbat, painful Shabbat with smelly things. So they allowed you to remove the graph shel re'i. However, Ken, no, how do you say graph shel re'i in Hebrew?
כלי שעושים בו גדולים וקטנים.
זהו. הכלי כמו התינוק שעושים toilet training. שמים בשבילו פאדי.
אם מישהו בבית חולים והוא יושב על מיטה,
Okay.
הוא צריך לעשות
Okay.
שלו.
The concept is
It's-
actually a keli with a shape. It can be anything.
It's a sear. It's a
No, no.
sear.
The meaning of it is the actual keli. The concept applies to everything.
Rabbi, it's a sear.
Concept applies to everything.
It's a sear.
כן, כמו סיר, כן.
כן.
Okay, so
גרף
now,
של ראי קוראים לזה?
כן. גרף של ראי, אבל זה מושג. המושג הוא כל דבר מאוס שעושה את האדם לא נעים, מותר לטלטלו, לקחת אותו מהמקום. Kavod Abrius, exactly. So, there's a few principles that are important to know when it comes to graph shel re'i. So first of all, we said, Ein oisim graph shel re'i lechatchila. You cannot plan on making a graph shel re'i and removing it because it's only a b'diavad situation. Really best not to move it because it's muktzah. But, yeah. No, meaning to say, the example we had of that was, if you make a pile of, let's say, nuts, you're cracking nuts, shells, or chicken bones, whatever, a pile of things that are, they don't look nice on your Shabbos table. So it's a graph shel re'i. And making it, when it's made already and you find it to be disgusting, you're allowed to remove it. But it's really not proper to make it knowing that you're planning to remove it based on that heter, because you're creating a b'diavad situation. Rather, it would be better if you would not make it in the first place. Meaning to say, if you have a garbage behind you, as you're shelling the nuts, you throw out the shells. As you're eating the chicken bones, you throw it out.
They're called the fun, Rabbi.
Or if you're planning to remove it without the heter of graph shel re'i, then it's also allowed. In other words, there's other ways to remove a chicken bone from the table. If it's on a plate together with something else, right? That's called tiltal al yedei davar acher, which we'll learn about. There are ways to remove something together with something else in a permissible way. And that is allowed. That's not something you can't do lechatchila. You're allowed to do it if you do it in the right way. So if you're going to use that heter, then it's not a problem, even if it happens to discuss you also. But you're not using the heter of gav shalri to remove it. So that's okay.
The right way to do it is say you have a plate with bones.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to put something good on the plate and the thing.
Yeah. As long as you're not removing it for the sake of the bones. These are the details of tiltal al yedei davar acher. Tiltal al yedei davar acher is when you're moving something through something else, right? It's different than tiltal klach hayad.
You're not doing it for the sake of it.
Exactly. Tiltal klach hayad is you're moving the muktzah with the back of your head. Tiltal davar acher is if you're moving the muktzah through moving something else. The muktzah is on top of something else. You're moving that thing together, the muktzah together with that thing. So the principle is you cannot move it for the muktzah itself. And you can only move the thing together, the muktzah on it, if it's not practical to tip off the muktzah before you move it. Meaning to say, if you can accomplish the same thing, which is it's in the way, you want to get it out of the way. If you can accomplish the same thing by tipping off the muktzah and then removing that object, then you should do that. So, for example, you need exactly the basket with the fruit. The basket has fruits in it. It also has a stone in it. You need the basket somewhere else. No problem. If the fruits are ones that don't get damaged by being on the floor, you tip it all out, stone falls down, put the fruits back, and take the basket somewhere else. If, however, the fruits are going to get ruined, so that's not practical, so then you could take the whole thing somewhere else. If the whole purpose of removing it is not because you need the basket somewhere else, but because you need the place, so then tipping it out is not going to help because you need the place. The stone is going to take the place that you need. So then you're allowed to just pick it up and remove it. So coming back to the plate that has the bones on it, if you need the place, because you want to clear the table, you want to serve the next course, whatever it is. So that's an example. Tiltal al yedei davar acher. That is mutter.
From Mekomo?
From Mekomo, exactly.
So you put like it's all.
Do you actually have to put something else on it? Do you actually have to put something else on it? I mean, in the case of the basket, there were other things in it. But I'm wondering, why do you have to put something else on it? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you don't have to.
So you have a plate with just bones, pick it up and throw it.
Exactly. Pick it up
Based on
based on that you need the place and you're moving it through something else. And to tip it off is not going to be,
made of some kind of glass.
you tell me?
Once the most, watching the before Shabbos.
It wasn't there before Shabbos. Wasn't there before Shabbos. If it was there before Shabbos, then you're in trouble. If it wasn't there before Shabbos, then you're okay. Can anybody support me in my?
I didn't really get the case. Do you want to understand the case again?
I'm pretty sure, but I'm looking for somebody to back me up on this. That when we say you're allowed to move a Muktzah item through a non-Muktzah item, if it's in the way, right? There's a Muktzah item on top of a non-Muktzah item.
Beshino, you can do it, Rabbi.
I'm not talking about a shinoi, I'm talking about without a shinoi. So if it's in the way, you're allowed to move it.
Move what?
You're allowed to move
Without touching the top.
non-Muktzah item, even though it has a Muktzah item on it, because it's in the way.
Like we learned about the child, you know,
Rabbi,
Tell me about that, remind me.
it's in his hand.
It's a separate thing. That's because we're afraid. You're talking about a stone or money?
Money.
Money is a separate problem.
You said you didn't want it to drop and whatever.
Exactly. Money is a separate problem because he may drop it and then you may be tempted to pick it up. But a stone is a good example, actually. A stone is a good example because there, I'm saying there, in this case, the reason you're allowed to is because you need the place. And knocking it off is not going to accomplish that because you're not going to have the space. It's going to be in the way. But over there, the stone is serving no function. The kid is upset and whatever, he wants the stone, okay, but making him, in general, tiltul manatzad is awesome. Tiltul manatzad, right? That's what it's called, tiltul manatzad, when you move something by moving something else. So when you do that, it is considered moving. It's not a kalachayat, it's not an unusual way, so it's usually a problem. But if it's not for the purpose of the muktzah, and the only way you can accomplish to make space is by moving it, then you're allowed. But over there, the kid is just holding the stone. There's no purpose in him holding it per se. So we say make him get rid of it, make him shake it. If he's gonna cry and he's gonna get sick from so much crying, okay, then they give you a heter. But otherwise, it's aser. That was the principle is tiltul manatzad is aser. There's a heter if you are not.
It's not hitting it with what's that? What's the one when you're the other one?
Kalachayat.
Oh yeah, but that's okay. So it's not.
That's something else.
No, yeah.
Rabbi, before we said that are we allowed to hold it from the bottom and move it? What's happening if the muktzah is falling down while we move it?
And you can't move the muktzah, then you're stuck.
You cannot continue like that?
No. Very important. Very important. Let's do the visual so the students can watch it. Here's what it is. You have
so it's better
They
to
can't.
tell the goy, Rabbi, it's better to tell the goy to move
Okay.
it. And if he drop it, he can move it, Rabbi.
Okay, here we have it. Here we have it. You guys watching? This is the muktzah item. This is the non-muktzah item. Okay, this is called tiltul min hatzad. I'm moving the muktzah together with a non-muktzah, tiltul min hatzad. Now, I can never do it for the purpose of the muktzah. If I want my phone somewhere else to keep it safe, no heter. The heter is if I need this place. I need the place. So, one more thing. If I need the cup somewhere else, so then I can't take it like this, because I could accomplish the same thing by tipping it off, right? Because my phone has a case, by the way. If my phone wouldn't have a case and I would be afraid that it's going to break, I would be allowed to move it even as it is, because I'm not moving it for the thing. I'm moving it for the cup, but I don't want the
You're
phone to
allowed to
break.
pick it up also by the air,
Yeah, you can pick it up too, no problem.
and then you drop it wherever you want.
Yeah, but if I need the place, so if I tip it over, I'm going to have the phone here, and I need the place,
Space.
so I can't accomplish it. So I'm allowed to move it like this. Now, Yoram pointed out, what if while I'm moving it, it falls off like that? Now I cannot push it like this out of the way, because that's regular tiltul manatzad. The whole thing,
You can move off, yeah.
I can move kalachayat, but I can't move it by pushing it, because then I'm mamish.
Oh.
The whole point is to move this. When I'm moving this, the cup is in the way. This is coming along. It's also in the way. I'm allowed. But if I'm pushing it like this, my whole point is to push this. So I'm moving this through something else. That's forbidden.
So when you drop koach hayad, the shinui, you're allowed to move it. For mekomo.
Kalachayat, I can move it, yeah. For mekomo, for anything.
What about moving muktzah that's in the way? Because you need to get something underneath.
Muktzah in the way.
Is that called a tzarech mekomo? That's your question.
No, I think it is called a tzarech mekomo. That really wasn't my question. But now that you boil it down to the tzarech mekomo, it probably is a tzarech mekomo.
Yeah, that is a tzarech mekomo. An example of that is a car door. You need a safer. You forgot a safer in the car. And the lights are not on. There's no light activated at all when you open that car door. Opening that car door, I'm sorry? Yeah, theoretically.
The car
Totally.
has no battery.
Totally theoretically.
No?
You're allowed to tell the guy?
No, you just attach the battery.
I'm not,
Make up a story.
Remember to take out the.
Make sure to leave your book
To
inside.
tell the guy, let's say if the light's inside.
I tell the guy if the light's inside, is allowed or not allowed.
If turn the light, Rabbi,
Sick ratio, they go. That's allowed.
separation.
Sick ratio, they go after that.
What does mean separation, Rabbi? It's meaning it's like you doing it, you don't allow to say to the guy, or Bishinui to tell him.
You're allowed to tell the guy to do it because that's a sick ratio.
Separation. He's outside the house and
No, the intention is not to turn the light on. That just happens to be the light's going on. That's not the intention.
refrigerator.
Exactly. But if there would be no light, you would be allowed to open the door. That's called tzach mukame. What were you going to ask? That was not your question. What was your question?
Muktzah is in the way. I was thinking more of like I want to get to my shirts or my undershirts or my socks, and there's something Muktzah. I left my iPad on top. Not an iPad, but I left the electronic device on top of my shirts, and I need to move in to be able to get to that shirt.
It's like the.
Well, I guess I can do I guess I can do a Kalachayad.
Or just pick it up and drop it.
Tzarech Mukama would be.
I mean, an iPad is muktzah gomer. You can't move it. Tzach mukame. You would have to tip it over. You could tip it over.
Rabbi, if it's in the shelf, Rabbi, if Rabbi,
What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know.
You can open the refrigerator or you can.
Let's say there's eggs or whatever, things that are muktzah, food items that are muktzah in the refrigerator door. Whenever they're upset once, it's ideal social feelings to take it out for sure. Huh?
you open for your food, not for the eggs. So it's
Yeah, but he's trying to get to something.
No, I was saying that muktzah.
I think we started.
Does everyone remember saying something like that?
No.
Really? On the fridge door, the mentioned the fridge door.
No, we didn't say.
I don't remember what I said. I remember we discussed it. I remember what I said. I must admit.
I don't think so. The eggs it would be muktzah in the refrigerator. I mean, you don't touch it. You go into your food.
I mean, I could understand that it's better not because total manatzat is not lachatchila. Not lachatchila.
For your shorts or for what?
I'm saying a fridge drawer that has muktzah in it. It's not
It's
lachatchila.
for minatzad. It's okay.
What would be an example of such a thing? What would be a food item? I guess frozen meats. Is that muktzah? Frozen meat.
Frozen meats.
Right.
It's full cook.
No. Is frozen raw meat muktzah?
No. Is frozen raw meat muktzah?
It's maluach. You sold it?
Some people eat raw meat.
Yes.
That's what he said.
That's
Some people eat raw meat.
Frozen raw meat. Is it muktzah now?
Frozen raw chicken is muktzah. People don't eat raw chicken.
Even if it's frozen, it doesn't make a difference because it can mean raw.
If there's time on Shabbos to defrost,
Oh, it's like
has to be time.
In regards to how much meat do you need to leave on the bones? I know next week in the Yomi we're learning certain amount, but that's for 40 people.
For Tuma, we're talking about Tuma,
I
yeah.
don't know if in this case
It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know.
That's a question.
How much meat do you have to leave on the bone for it to not be muktzah?
Some of that may be subjective too.
Anything you can eat. If you can take a bite.
An
and
amount
eat
that
it.
you might probably
they're up to as much as you give to the dog, as long as the dog would have something to eat.
then that'd be very little. It's not so short, whatever.
We're talking about
Rabbi.
chicken bones.
Sorry. What did you say?
The amount that if you give it to the dog, then you would still have one to lick off. Meat-wise.
I mean, he's not talking about a dog. He's talking about a person. You want to keep it non-muktzah,
No, but
so you leave some meat
dog,
on
so
the
then
wall. But what?
Did we discuss that? I think we said that exactly.
I mean, the dog doesn't need the meat. The dog, the bone is also not.
Maybe we said you can give it to a person, and if anyone would actually take that, and still be able to eat meat off of it, there's still meat to be left. There's still meat to be eaten off that bone. I personally don't like eating meat off of bones, and I leave, according to my wife, half the meat still on the bone.
B'nei malachim. K'derech b'nei malachim.
Tell her always not to cook it, but anyway, she has a warning. So the meat that I leave on the bone is still good enough. Not that someone would eat it, but it would be good enough. Someone else had left and had it over.
You're saying it goes by what the average person would consider edible.
Eat it.
Could be. Could be. I hear it. I don't want to say 100% of that. I didn't see it, so I'm not really sure.
Can I ask a question on the Biro Lanochi?
I suppose so. Go ahead.
We can do it.
Doing that?
Yes, no?
I asked one before you came in.
Go ahead.
So, Salah Ravadi writes that if you have light good enough to be able to read the dochak, and you're allowed to hint to a goy to turn on the light, because that's just whatever it is to Sefet Or, and because you have enough light, so it's enough.
Yeah, the Alter Rebbe holds that in the Siddur, in the Madur Basra. In the Shulchan Aruch he doesn't, but in Madur Basra he does. Yeah, correct. Also, yeah.
Ashkenazim, but or Ashkenazim,
The Mishnah Berurah does not.
it's called to Sefet Or.
I mean, the concept is mentioned in the Shulchan Aruch. The concept is mentioned if he already did it. Not that you're allowed to tell him to, not that you're allowed to hint him to do it. But if you already did it and you already had light, then you're allowed to stay there. You don't have to go to another room. You know what I'm saying? Lachatchila not. There you believe, exactly. But the reason for the chumrah is the opinion of Rabbeinu Simcha, who holds that whenever a goy does something with your kalim, you have to stop him. Because the fact he's using your kalim, even though you didn't ask him to, is like a shlichus. So based on that, the whole concept of a remez becomes very limited. What does a remez mean? That means you're meramez in a permissible way without giving him directly to do it, but he understands that you want him to do it, and then he does it, so to speak, on his own. But according to Ben Simcha, what does that help? Whenever he's using your kalim, you have to stop him. So that heter becomes very limited, unless it's like turning it off, which you don't really need permission for, whatever. But other than that, it's very limited. But according to this chiddush, it's not some of the chiddush, but according to those that don't agree with the Ben Simcha, let's put it that way, which Alter Rebbe, the Madur Basra, does not. So then, as long as there's no clear hana saguf, you don't have to stop him if he does it on his own. And if you do a permissible remez, that's considered on his own. So once there's light, it's not considered hana saguf. That's what it is. Okay. Touching muktzah is mutter. I'm in number 14 in the handout. Touching muktzah is mutter. If it will move somewhat, it's forbidden. Meaning to say, if you have a lamp that is hanging, so it's on a chain, so it's very sensitive, exactly like a chandelier, and even touching it will make it move, you cannot. Another thing is that there is an opinion which...
Parts of it, even if it's crystal chandelier.
Oh, you mean if the crystal is not the lamp itself?
There's the lamp, and there's the crystal of the...
Right.
The chandelier, which hangs out and falls and lines.
Right. So what getter does that have? Is that your question? What getter does that have? Is it klishmach le'isser? Is it? I mean, it's part of the chandelier, which is the klishmach le'isser, but it might be Muktzah Sankis. Expensive chandelier, I assume, is Muktzah Sankis. That would seem.
Usually, any of these. What's the together?
We didn't see a specific amount, but anything that is expensive to the extent that you do not use it for other purposes because you don't want to take it.
Oh, that was.
Yeah,
So
pretty
let's say a chandelier. I'm not going to. I don't know.
You're not going to really do anything with it.
Or even any type of lamp, meaning anything that's going to cost $80, $100.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna really.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Another thing is that the Alter Rebbe brought an opinion, which he apparently paskins like. This I sent out a new one today, by the way. Yeah. So the thing is that there is an opinion that says that you cannot touch Muktzah. You cannot even touch Muktzah for the sake of the Muktzah itself. It's a chiddush. One opinion says,
So what would be the case?
the case is to cover it. Normally you touch Muktzah, you touch Muktzah. I mean, why? I don't know, you just feel like it. But if you're touching it for the purpose of the Muktzah, for example, you're covering the Muktzah. So, according to one opinion, that is asr. You cannot touch Muktzah for the purpose of the Muktzah itself.
What would be an example of touching it to cover it?
You mean is that you're asking if the act of covering itself is considered touching if you don't touch it directly?
I'm just saying, what's an example of this case be? Some say one may not touch Muktzah for the sake of the Muktzah itself, for example, to cover it.
Exactly. When you cover a Muktzah item, you're doing it to protect the Muktzah. For example,
I put a cup on. If I put a cup on an egg, I mean, is that,
that is not necessarily touching the egg.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of touching it as you're covering it. For example, you have a barbecue. Your wife uses the barbecue to grill chicken for Shabbos. She finishes grilling the chicken and she forgot to cover it, or she didn't get a chance to cover it. And now you want to cover it. Why do you want to cover it? No. The chicken's not muktzah. You want to cover the barbecue. First of all, your guests, when they come in, they don't have to see your leftover chicken on the barbecue. Not leftover, just the grime, whatever. And second of all, it might rain. You want to protect it. So when you cover the barbecue, it's probably not going to move, but you are touching it through the cover when you touch it. Meaning to say the cover is touching it, you're moving the cover, so you're touching it through the cover. So no, that's that.
But it's a loose cover.
No, it's still touching it. The example of covering without touching is like Daniel said, an egg that is not going to be touched at all. It's going to be inside. Exactly. It's just inside.
So if Bob and I are holding a big sheet to cover the barbecue, which is in the middle of the room, and we don't even.
Oh, you just drop it?
Yeah.
Could be.
So putting it on and then letting go.
Exactly. Putting it on and holding it while you're putting it on is considered touching. No, that's a machlokes. That's a machlokes, but the Alter Rebbe seems to pass like that because in Hilchos Yontif, here he brings two opinions.
Well, all my home, it's dripping.
Yeah.
Or everything.
Wow.
What is?
My home, it's dripping all over. So this will be an
Zat Hashem.
I have to go to see what I can do. I don't know what can I do. Okay.
All right, Hashem should help.
The lead,
The what?
the lead over the barbecue.
The lid. The one that's connected to it. The one that's attached to it is no. That's a vinyl. That's not muktzah. That's not muktzah. That's just a piece of vinyl.
So you don't just cover something to protect it. you cover something, you don't want to look at it also, or it's not nice.
Oh, you say maybe that's
So
not
there's more
called
than one
protection?
reason, right?
That's a good point. Maybe that's not protection. Maybe that's just for your own, your own feeling good.
Right.
That would make a difference here?
Could be. The Isser is to touch it for the sake of the Muktzah. So if you're covering it to protect the Muktzah, that's for the sake of the Muktzah. But David Leib is saying, what if
For the
you,
sake of yourself.
exactly, it's not going to rain. You just don't like the way it looks. So you want to cover it so you shouldn't have to see it. Could be. That could be. I didn't think of that.
Who's gonna flip this?
Who other Rishayim? I don't
Two
know.
sides?
I don't
There's also
remember.
other things you don't want to see. We had a cleaning lady once, that she dropped her cross, and I just, I'm sitting on Shabbos at the table, I kicked it under the cabinet, right?
Interesting.
A dead mouse you cover, right?
Dead mouse you can cover, yeah.
You're not protecting it, you just.
Dead mouse you can cover. Dead mouse, actually, if it disgusts you, you can take it out. It's a graf shari. That's an example of graf shari, actually.
Also at the end of a Reuben.
The cross is
Remember that?
pressure, right?
It's a big shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a big one, it goes up with the rosary, the whole thing,
So dead animals you're allowed to remove? Cockroach, etc. Cockroach that's upside down?
If it's disgusting, yeah, if it's disgusting. I don't know if they're alive. If they're alive, you have a separate problem with Seder. You know what I'm saying?
I thought it was a dog, it was a pig.
Comes from the room? Dustpan?
Why is that not Seder?
More than welcome to run off.
Because why?
He's more than welcome to run off.
You mean if you don't tip it up? He's able to run off. It depends how you do it. If you hold the dustbin like upwards, it can't really. Or maybe it could.
So why you do it online?
It's your bottom, so is there any other?
If it's not Seder, if you can do it in a way that's not Seder, then I believe the cuts.
I just keep moving it out.
That's an example, yeah. That's not Seder. If you can sweep it out without trapping it, that would be an example that yeah.
I mean, even though he's technically trapped. Meaning I got him. Playing hockey with him. Right, left, slap shot out, he's not moving.
No, what I'm saying, but you never actually trapped him. He was always on the open floor. You pushed him.
You're squirting him. Everybody.
I think that's mutter, if it's disgusting. I believe graf shari does apply even to live animals, just not, but it doesn't give you a heter for tzeda.
But you can't take two cups and.
You can't trap
present
him.
trapping them.
Can't trap him.
Even though it's temporary, but you're
Correct.
untrapping them.
Even though it's just on the way out the door,
Right. Outside
that-
he's on his own.
that's the same as turning on and off a light. Turning it off doesn't change the fact that it was on. You know what I'm saying? Trapping it,
You
letting it free doesn't change the fact that it was trapped.
What if it was one cup? Like scooping him towards the door, and then
But if he's in the cup, he's in the cup. What do you mean? If he's in the cup,
yeah, but
And-
you
and
got him in the cup.
doesn't make a difference. He can't get out. Right
No,
now, he can't get out.
sideways.
Can't say, like, you have
What do you mean?
Yeah, okay, that's a cockroach there or whatever.
Oh, if it's open, if the
open
cup
and
is
you're,
open,
and you're squirting towards the exit, like.
could be. Could be. If he could get out, if he could get out
He
at
can get
all
out,
times.
but,
If he can get out at
You're
all
moving
times.
fast enough that you hope it
I think
doesn't.
so.
What's down the dustpan if you don't tilt the dustpan?
If he could get out, I don't see why not. Danny, what were you going to say?
did you just say live animals graf shari?
If it's disgusting to you, yeah.
So can you pick it up then to get it out?
The problem with picking it up is that while it's in your hand, you've trapped it.
But if it's domesticated like a dog or a cat?
Then how is it disgusting to you? How can you have a
Well-
disgusting live animal?
He stinks.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I mean, what would be an example of a disgusting wild animal?
A cockroach,
Oh, I see. Okay,
a
got it.
mouse.
Let's say it's your bottom.
But if it's dead, you said we could do it.
If it's dead, yeah. I'm sorry? No, if it's dead, you can remove it. What were you gonna say?
Since it's door above, be able to ask it, right? It's the abuse of
Sure, bias.
asking if boys another joke. Plus the cover the brios of graph shielding. Someone has a goya that works or lives in the house. Can he ask her to remove the live cockroach?
Shvus to shvus for cover abrius. I hear the swar. I hear the swar. Okay, yeah, bye 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 bye, yeah, bye bye. Okay, so bittul kli me'echanai, not allowed. Bittul kli me'echanai means to take something that is not muktzah and to make it muktzah. For example, by putting something muktzah on it, which means that you can't move it as long as the muktzah is on it.
We see we're allowed to.
Yeah, but there's limitations. How? To what extent? You have to have a good reason to move it. You know what I'm saying? What do you mean miyad?
I'm saying if I have on this cup, that I'd be able to move the cup and move the cup.
So here's the thing. If you put muktzah on something non-muktzah, but it's something that you're able to tip off at any moment, that's not called bittul kli me'echanai. Because in an instant, it could not be non-muktzah. The whole idea of bittul kli me'echanai is that you're ruining a keli. It's like soiser. It's like destroying it. You're taking a good keli and you're destroying it. You're making it useless. Mavatal, exactly, nullifying. But if at any moment you could tip off the muktzah and render the keli non-muktzah, then it's not a problem. However, if it's not going to be practical to do that, then it's bittul kli me'echanai. The example is a fellow who has rainwater dripping in. He puts a kli to catch the rainwater. He can't tip out the rainwater. The whole purpose is to catch the rainwater so it shouldn't go in the house. So that's an example of bittul kli me'echanai.
Once it bought
And what? Yeah, but hopefully it won't.
So what are you going to do with the kli once it builds up? You're stuck?
No, you're not allowed to put the kli in the first place.
Oh.
How do you get past the problem?
Well, we did say that you are allowed to be mevatel kli me'echanai for a hefsed gadol. If the amount of water getting in is going to ruin your house, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna flood your house. For the purpose of a hefsed gadol, you're allowed to be mevatel kli me'echanai. But if it's not going to be that, then I don't know.
Is there any answer? It's underneath the sink is usable. You need to use the sink. Put buckets. No problem. Isn't that the purpose of the kli sometimes? Let's say I have a bucket, sponge. I just sponge in my house with this red bucket. Isn't that the purpose of the kli to have that kind of water in it?
When Shabbos came in, that bucket.
Because before I could use it, now because the water is there, I can't use it.
Exactly.
Why can't I use that water?
I mean, dirty water. It's dirty, disgusting water.
No.
If it would be clear water,
Maybe it's not.
it wouldn't be a problem. It's not about the clear. You can take the water, use whatever you want.
Let's say I'm doing it till today, and I'm throwing it in the sink. And things like that.
Or whatever, or just dirty water. We're talking about a situation where the water is not usable. If it would be usable water, then it would be a problem. Exactly.
There's no head to the emergency head to the.
Other than the fact that Hefsid. I have not seen another header, no. Okay, Tittel Menatzah we already discussed. Muktzah we discussed. V'laku, except that the son of Moshe forbid for the sake of the Muktzah itself.
Do we have someone from Marav? Someone asking.
3 short. That's our 3 short. What does he have? He has a share every night?
Tuesday and Thursday.
Where's the share? Yalchan didn't respond. Okay, we continue and we say, moving Muktzah kalachiyat is allowed. We say that kli shemach and heter is not Muktzah, yes. A kli that has 2 functions, one is a permissible function, one is a permissible, forbidden one, is not Muktzah.
Even if the predominant use is I don't have an example for you.
Yeah, it doesn't say that it goes by the predominant use. If it has 2 functions, one is permissible, one is forbidden, it's not Muktzah. I don't think it goes by a specific percentage.
It's not like a short scale.
Right. Okay, here's the chart, my friend. Let's go through the
You
chart.
didn't have an example? Oh. Has there ever heard of an example? Something that's Muktzah also? Something that's Muktzah also.
One thing that we never discussed, but I did see it in the Shmir Shabbos, is about pots.
Pots?
Pots.
Sorry.
A pot is lachura klisha mlach lisa, right?
You can put your apple in it.
No. Who puts apples in a pot?
Then you try to discuss that.
Maybe they used to put pots.
They were able to use it.
Yeah, well, they didn't have, people didn't have enough stuff, so they used pots. But he says a different story. Exactly. When you cook your chicken soup, do you pour the chicken soup out right away into a container? Or do you leave the chicken soup in the pot until you finish it? I mean, maybe towards the end, when there's only a bowl or 2 left, you don't keep the whole pot in the fridge, you empty it out. But I'm saying, when it's pretty full, you keep it in. So he says that's an example of a klisha malachta le'isser u'leheter. Because the purpose of the pot is both to cook the food and to store the food after. So he therefore says that a pot is not considered klisha malachta le'isser. It's considered klisha malachta le'isser u'leheter. And practically speaking, it's not muktzah at all, according to him. Unless it's a sort of pot that you don't keep it in at all, like a pan. Most pans are not used for still. Cool, can you take it out? Yes. Didn't respond.
Oh wait, at least 2 here meaning he's with 3?
I think what's with Ronnie? Yeah. Just gonna text him. Forget.
I haven't seen him. The same Shabbos, haven't Right. That's where he went. Maybe he doesn't want to come back. Where do you go? I don't know.
Okay, we're going through the chart. Muktzah machmas nesarim kiss is Muktzah gomer. I'm going through the chart on the 2nd page. X means Muktzah. I forgot to give you a legend. Forgot to give you a key. M means machlokes. D means depends.
That one for
All right. So tzarech gufa, you can't move it. Tzarech gufa means to move it for its function. Tzarech mukayma, you can. Tzarech atzmai, which means what?
protection.
To protect it, exactly. That you cannot either. Muktzah machmas kiss is real muktzah. Keep it in your hand. So that is a machlokes. When it comes to klisha malachta le'isser, definitely once it's in your hand, because you're allowed to move it for its place or whatever, you're allowed to keep it in your hand for as long as you want, even though now you don't need to move it anymore for its place. for its use. Now you're only moving it to protect it. Doesn't make a difference. What's in your hand, you can keep it in your hand. There's a machlokes if that applies to Muktzah Gomer or not. So all the M's that you see in this category of keep in your hand are all the Muktzah Gomers. If you already picked it up and now it's in your hand, you let it keep it in your hand. Meaning say you were not allowed to pick it up. You made a mistake. You picked it up, or it was a situation where you were allowed to pick it up based on a certain heter, but now that heter doesn't apply anymore, right? You let it keep it in your hands until you can put it down. A simple example is a moil. A moil did the bris. Bris is over. The knife is expensive. They used to be, at least. Can he keep it in his hand until he puts it in a safe place? So that is a machlokes. So when it comes to kli shemalach le'isur, the answer is yes. When it comes to Muktzah Gomer, it's a machlokes. And in the case of a great financial loss, the answer is yes. But if it's not, the answer is no. And that's why you'll see an M in this category by all the Muktzah Gomers. So in case Gufay, Isser, T'chabi Yadayim, the Gomer, I think I doubled up T'chabi Yadayim, just realizing now. It's not the same as the raisins at the bottom, but whatever. Buses, totally set aside. All of those are going to be in the place. No, we're going horizontal. I'm just explaining what the basis of this M is. Okay. Moving it to something else, that depends. That's D, that depends. That goes by what I was saying earlier, that you cannot move it for the purpose of it itself. If it's possible to tip off and accomplish what you need to accomplish, you tip it off. But the only way is to keep it on, and you can't tip it off because it's circle karma or it's going to break if you tip it off, then you're allowed. Moving it with a permissible item in it. Okay, so this is something we never discussed until now. If you have a non-Muktzah item on top of a Muktzah item, are you allowed to move the Muktzah item because there's a non-Muktzah item on it?
Just move a non-Muktzah item.
I'm sorry?
There's a Muktzah item on the bottom of a non-Muktzah item? What was it? Opposite?
On top of. A non-Muktzah item is on top of a Muktzah item, exactly. Of course you can, but can you move the Muktzah and say, well, I'm moving the non-Muktzah through the
No,
Muktzah?
this happened on Shabbat.
Sorry?
This wasn't a bus.
No, this is non-Muktzah. Non-Muktzah.
Oh, right, it's not.
Opposite of a buses. So
You're not allowed to move a baby.
but here's the opposite. The Muktzah is like a bus is for permissible. Maybe you should be allowed. Ernie just came back from Israel. So the bottom line is that for a mace, it works. For a mace, for a dead body, it works. Otherwise, it's a machlokes. And the halacha is that we are only makel by a kli shemalachta iser. That's why you'll see if you go down, kli shemalachta iser, yes. Meaning to say,
What's this right? Also. You should have this.
you're right, I should have, because that's the halacha. In fact, it's a machlokes, but the halacha is that it's aser. That's true, I should have. Okay, I take it back for the next version. Okay, so listen carefully. By the kli shemalachta iser, this is something good to know. If you have a kli shemalachta iser that is going to get ruined, that's the only thing for which a kli shemalachta iser is really muktzah, when it's going to get ruined. If you want to save it from getting ruined, it's a very simple eitzah. Put something non-muktzah on it, and then you can move it. Okay?
Say that again?
What is a kli shemalachta iser muktzah for? Practically, it's only muktzah for the purpose of saving it from getting ruined. That's the only thing is muktzah. Any other purpose, any other need, you can move it. I mean, you can't move it for no reason whatsoever, but that's true about anything. But in terms of it being muktzah, it's muktzah to the extent that you can't move it for protection. But even so, if there's something non-muktzah on it, you're allowed to move it. So that's the practical thing to do. If you have a bicycle, you have a bicycle outside.
So,
So it's kli shelach leser. Assuming we accept the halachas that you can't bike on Shabbos. You know, I see people who consider themselves Shem Shabbos biking. I don't know who they asked, but whatever. Lemaisa, let's say it's a kli shelach leser. So it's raining. So what do you do? I mean, simple halacha, kli shelach leser. I mean, that is what it's muktzah. That is the exact case that it's muktzah for. So you can't really do it. But if you can, I don't know, hang something non-muktzah from the handlebars, that's your eitzah. That's your way out. All right? You learned something in this class.
so if you have the egg and you cover the egg with a cup, you can then slide the egg.
Louder, please. I didn't hear you.
I said if you have the egg like we talked about before, you put a cup on it, then you can slide the cup with the egg in it.
The egg is not. What is that?
Emmanuel wants to know why the egg is muktzah.
Huh?
Why is the egg muktzah?
The egg is muktzah because I guess it was born.
Oh, you're talking about a born egg?
Well, we talked about before, you can't move an egg.
Why not?
Because I guess it's
I mean, you're right. When we spoke about it before, I accepted what you said, but I'm not so sure that an egg is muktzah because some people eat raw eggs.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, but I thought. Oh,
I don't think
okay.
it's muktzah. I think because some people eat raw eggs, even though I don't. But because some people eat raw eggs, I don't think it's muktzah.
But in the old days when they didn't do that, like when this was written, and they talked about it.
Who said?
I thought we had this case where you couldn't you could not move an egg.
Actually, yeah, I do remember that. You're right. Actually, it says that's the example of a case that you can't touch muktzah because it moves easily.
It moves. So I'm saying what if
that was an egg, but maybe that was an egg born on Shabbos.
Right. But if you cover it with a cup, can you move it that way?
So what's your question? Let's say it's a muktzah egg.
So,
for argument's sake, it's a muktzah egg. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you covered it with a cup.
Yeah.
To protect it. Can you slide the cup now that it's under it? Because you're is it like moving the bike?
No, that's not like moving the bike. Oh, thank you very much. Perfect. That's not like moving the bike because that is actually moving the egg through the cup. I'm talking about
okay.
When you move the bike, you can say, I'm moving the bag through the bike.
Oh, I see. You're hanging a bag. You hang a bag on the bike, so you're just moving the bike to move the bag.
Exactly. You're using that.
Okay.
You're considering that you're moving the bike to move the bag.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Here it's the opposite. You're moving the cup to move the egg, and the egg is muktzah if it is. All right. We have 2 more minutes. Muktzah machmas gufay. We all know what that is. That's something that has no function, like sticks, stones, forbidden foods, right? That are not dog food, that are not fit for dogs either. So that's all muktzah gomer. That has the same exact things as machmas sunkis. Muktzah machmas iser is the same thing. That's something that's forbidden to use, which you made also to use, like oil in a lamp. The choy b'yadayim is muktzah gomer. That's like fruits that you're drying. Noilet gomer is muktzah gomer, like we discussed. Regular noilet is not muktzah at all on Shabbos. Pasas l'davar aser is muktzah gomer and has all of those halachas. Kli shelach leser we discussed already. Machmas mius is not muktzah gomer. Machmas mitzvah is. We didn't really discuss machmas mitzvah. And totally set aside for selling. Totally set aside meaning to say, sorry? Did we? Maybe we did, okay. And totally set aside for selling is muktzah gomer also if you would not use it for your own purposes. And drying raisins is the same as the Choy B'Yadayim. All right, my friends, that's pretty much it. We'll continue next week with a review on Choy B'Shabbos. My pleasure. The test is tentatively scheduled for Monday, Gimel Nisan.